From the Detroit Free Press, it's Monday, September 28th. Here are today's top stories.
Presented by Bush's Fresh Food Market. Calling all foodies, Bush's is hiring. Are you passionate about food, looking for growth, development, and excellent wages? Come grow with Bush's and apply online at bush's.com/join our team. That's Bush's, BUSCHS.com/join our team.
For the Detroit Free Press, I'm Kerry Jr. II. Indoor activities are returning to Lower Michigan. Starting October 9th, indoor theaters, performance venues, arcades, and more can reopen. Governor Gretchen Whitmer made the announcement Friday. The order also eases capacity restrictions for indoor gatherings. It allows for 20% fixed seating capacity in Central and Lower Michigan and 25% in the Upper Peninsula and Northern Michigan. Non-residential outdoor gatherings are limited to 30% fixed seating capacity. And the largest venues in the state can hold up to 500 people. Face coverings are required. Students in grades kindergarten through 5th grade are required to wear face masks under the new order. Children who attend school in Northern Michigan and the UP are not required to wear masks. Michigan's state of emergency is set to expire Thursday, but it's expected to be extended. The state budget announced last week did not include cuts to education. Budget makers were expecting the pandemic to take a toll on school funds. Free Press reporter John Wisely has the details. John, thank you.
Thank you, Kerry.
The state budget came out last week. Many school budget makers were anticipating there to be cuts in response to the economic effects of the pandemic. But that's not exactly what we saw.
The sort of doomsday scenario they were looking at over the summer was about a $750 cut to the school aid fund and $750 per student. So that would have been millions of dollars to many districts, and it would have been the largest single-year cut in Michigan history. The state budget makers, the governor and the legislature got together, and because they've got some federal money and they had some rainy day funds and some other things in the budget, they were able to essentially hold harmless the school districts. So instead of a $750 cut, the school districts actually got about a $65 per pupil increase. It really turned out to be better for the schools than most educators had anticipated in July.
So hearing that there's no budget cuts, we already think this is great news. So do schools then have the funds that they need to navigate COVID-19 for the year?
Well, that's sort of the catch. So they've got essentially the same amount of money they had last year. But because of COVID, they also have a lot of increased costs this year. They have to provide personal protective equipment to all of their teachers and staffers and students who don't have it. They have to provide hand sanitizer. They have to provide disinfectant because these classrooms have to be disinfected on a more regular basis. The school buses that transport the kids have to be disinfected on a regular basis. So they have a bunch of new costs. So if you think of it this way, they're getting paid the same as they got paid last year. So that's their fear right now, is how are they going to meet those costs?
How do school districts plan to fund additional pandemic costs for the year?
So, a lot of them are going to rely on the federal CARES Act money. And there was, when that passed, there was specific money in there for schools. So many of them are going to use that money to pay for these costs. The question is it going to be enough? And there was talk of sort of a second CARES Act. Would Congress allocate additional money for things like school districts and local governments that are going to have these costs going forward, but there hasn't been any legislation yet. And of course, we're in the middle of an election cycle, so it's a little harder to get things passed right now. I think most educators are hoping that there is additional federal money that will come in, like this CARES Act money that they've already received, and they can use that to cover some of these new expenses.
Free Press reporter John Wisely, thank you so much.
Thank you, Kerry.
Here are the coronavirus case numbers. The state reported 901 new cases of the coronavirus and 15 new deaths Saturday. 11 deaths were uncovered in review of death certificates. In total, health officials have reported over 121,000 COVID-19 cases and over 6,700 deaths statewide. That's the latest. For more information on COVID-19 in Michigan, Visit www.freep.com.
I'm Kirkland Crawford with the Free Press Sports Department and a recap of the Detroit Lions and their last-second win on Sunday in Arizona. The Lions ended their 11-game losing streak, dating back exactly 11 months, with a 26-23 win over the Cardinals. Matt Prater's 39-yard field goal as time expired put the Lions in the win column for the first time this year. Matthew Stafford threw 2 touchdown passes, including one to the returning Kenny Golladay in his first game since injuring his hamstring before the season. And the Lions' defense forced Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray to throw 3 interceptions, the last of which was caught by rookie Jeff Okudah. The Lions now return home for a date Sunday against Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints. That'll be at 1 o'clock at Ford Field.
For more stories from the Detroit Free Press, be sure to check out freep.com. That's FREEP.com. If you're a fan and want to support our quality local journalism, subscribe. Go to freep.com/special offer.